Hey everybody, it's the Dreadlock Do-It-Yourselfer here, and I've got the solution to the coronavirus right here in front of me. First of all, I guess the solution would be to wash your hands with safe soap, soap that doesn't toxify the body or toxify your environment. And that soap looks something like this. And I'm going to show you how to make it. So, this is my Castile Soap, and this is one batch I've already started this morning, and after I got this one all mixed up and got the lid on, it's going to be ready to stir here in about 30 minutes. I said I might as well make a how-to on how I do my Castile Soap. So, just to get started, you're going to need a what do you call these things? A crock pot. Or a slow cooker, whatever you want to call it. You can see I bought this one for $5 at a garage sale. You can pick yourself up a cheap one. You don't have to use one of these. You can use a stainless steel pan on your stove if you want, but it's just nice to have a slow cooker because it can stay on a long time and you won't have to monitor it. So I've got this preheating. It's very important to preheat your crock pot because whenever you mix your soap together, it has to be hot for there to be a chemical reaction. So basically, I use all stainless steel stuff while I'm doing this. I'll use this one to measure out my oils. The smaller container will be for my potassium hydroxide. This will be for my water that I mix the potassium hydroxide in. The oils that I'm using are coconut oil, organic coconut oil, and some organic olive oil. Sorry about my messy writing. I did this for myself. I'm going to post a link to the recipe that I'm using, but I just wrote this down from the recipe so I wouldn't have to have my phone out the entire time. But I go by grams. You can do ounces if you want. So you can see there it's 680 of olive oil, 454 of coconut oil, 265 grams of potassium hydroxide, 907 grams of water for the potassium hydroxide, and then an additional 10 to 12 cups of water to dilute your soap. So, just to give you a quick rundown on what potassium hydroxide is, this is a container we keep it in. The place we buy it from, it comes like this, potassium hydroxide. So traditionally, you could render potassium hydroxide from wood ash, from hardwood wood ash. So after you burn your wood, you would take the ash and soak it in water, and the potassium that doesn't burn from your wood would absorb into the water, creating potassium hydroxide. This one was probably made in a lab, so it's not from wood ash, but anyway, same concept. So this stuff is, you can see I'm wearing gloves, this stuff is corrosive. You don't want to use any aluminum pots or anything that's going to possibly react with the potassium. So this has a pH of, I believe, 11 or 12. I could be wrong about that, but it's very, very basic. It's not acidic, it's basic. So if you get it on your skin, it will irritate you. The only way to get the irritation to stop, you can rinse it with water, but you'll want to have some vinegar close by to stop the burn if you do happen to get some on your hands. So I'm gonna get started here. I'm gonna go ahead and measure out my oils and my potash and my water, and then I will get back to you. So I've got my coconut oil measured out, and I always put my coconut oil in first because it needs to melt. You know, it's a solid. And the reason this recipe uses the coconut oil and olive oil mix, traditionally you would just use olive oil, but this person particularly with this recipe. They did some experimenting with the different kinds of oils that you would use. I brought this grapeseed oil out because this grapeseed oil is a lot cheaper. It's not organic, which you're not consuming it. It's just soap, so you can bargain with a cheaper price. This is $6 for this jug. This one's $13 for this jug. So there's quite a bit of price difference. For this recipe, I am going to use the organic olive oil, but the saturated fats in the coconut oil make I believe she said a thicker set, like a thick bubble, whereas the it's a different kind of fat, and the olive oil makes like a smoother bubble or something like that. Anyway, they have different properties to the different kinds of fats. So you can read about it in the recipe. So I'm going to measure out my 680 grams of olive oil. And I use the same container to measure out my oils just because it's less dishes. So I use a silicone spatula to scrape my bowls good in between measurements. Getting close to 680 there. Okay, there's 680. So I'm going to pour this into there, and then we'll move on to the potassium hydroxide. So I've got my potassium hydroxide measured out, and I've set it over by a well-ventilated area. You don't want to do this in an enclosed space because it does fume off, and the fumes are harmful. So I'm using the same silicone spatula. I've just wiped all the oils off of it, but I'm going to use the silicone spatula. I'm using a deep container here because whenever you add the potassium hydroxide, it does kind of boil and the water will get hot. So you want a deep container because I can grab this up here and it's not going to be hot, but if I try to grab it from the bottom, it would be hot. And then plus it doesn't boil out. So. And can you just check out this morning? It's beautiful. It's starting to be spring outside. It's March. Just beautiful outside. We had a nice little drizzle, got everything all wet. It's beautiful. Anyway, so you just want to pour your potassium in. You'll hear it start to boil and crackle. And these measurements are precise, so you want to get every little flake that you can out of it. Even if you got to get your silicone spatula and kind of get some of the stragglers. That ought to do it. I'm going to give that a minute to rest. I like to rinse out all my containers right away because I don't want anybody to come along and grab some potash without a glove, because that would be unpleasant. So I actually had to stop and stir this guy. This is what it looks like after you stir it. Whew, foggy. Steamy. But this one will be done in 6 hours. It takes a while for it to cook. So, as you can see, the water's kind of cloudy. You have to stir it. It won't mix thoroughly if you don't, so I'm going to stir it. I can feel all the granules on the bottom. Hear it sizzling. Okay, there's no more granules, so I'm going to be done stirring that. And, whew, I can see the fumes coming off of it. So at this point, this water is corrosive. You don't want any of this to get on your skin. I'm just holding the spatula over the pan while it drips. And then I'm going to take it to the sink and rinse it off. And then I will get back with you. So you can see the mixture is clear here. That's my potassium hydroxide water, and the oil is hot and melted. You can see it's pretty warm. So what I've got here is a emulsion blender. This is a stainless steel one. It's got to be stainless steel. Nothing that's going to react should go into there. So I'm going to pour my potassium hydroxide water in and then start mixing. And you've got to mix for 3 minutes. So you're going to be here a while, and what you're looking for is a trace, the infamous trace. And if you don't have an emulsion blender with a stainless steel attachment, you could always just use a whisk or even a stainless steel spoon, but you just want to make sure it's really mixed. So I'm going to start mixing. It'll be about 3 minutes. So I'll probably get back whenever there's a trace. Alright, it's been 3 minutes and we are leaving a trace. Look how thick that's gotten. We're actually beyond a trace. We are... Usually I like to stop a little sooner than this because it makes the blender a little easier to clean off. This is pretty thick. I probably could have stopped about 30 seconds sooner. But anyway, you just want to get it all off of your blender, and I'll put the lid on and we'll wait about 30 minutes and then I'll come back to stir it. Alright, it's been about 30 minutes. As you can see, the soap has expanded a little bit. It almost was touching the lid on top. So, once again, you'll want to use a stainless steel spoon to... What I like to do is basically just flip it. Just flip it over. Give it a good little stir. You can see how thick this stuff gets. And so you want to stir it like the first time in 30 minutes, and then you basically come back once an hour after that. I think the recipe says it's done in 3 hours. I like to let it cook a little longer, so I'll probably do the full 6, but it's 3 to 6 hours is what they say. So I just go around and just give it a good flip. Okay, just something like that. And one recipe said it will burn if you leave it too long. Another recipe said you can't burn it. Also, I use my silicone spatula to scrape my stirring spoon after, so I just get all the residual off of there. So anyway, you can see this one here is getting a little more translucent. You can see it's starting to clear up. So it's working. So this one here is reaching the 3 hour mark. As you can see, it's getting translucent. So there's a test that you can do it's called the clarity test. It's where you take some water and you get a little bit of the soap and you mix it in the water. And if the water's cloudy, it's not ready. And if it's clear, then it's ready. So you can see that one's pretty clear, and this one's getting clear. It's still got some white to it. So you don't want any white color left. You want it all clear. So I'll show you. I'm probably gonna let this one sit another hour, maybe hour and a half. This one's probably still got 2 hours to go, maybe 2.5. So I think the soap is done. It's actually been on closer to 7 hours now. As you can see, it's getting pretty hard. But anyway, I did the clarity test on there, and as you can see through the water. You can see the chunk of soap still in there. It's not going to be completely clear because there's soap in it, obviously, but you're looking for a cloudy residue. You could see it in the previous video. There's no cloudy residue in these soaps. It's just, see there's no residue on top, just a couple bubbles. If the soap wasn't done, there would be a cloudy film on top of the soap. And just to show you what happens if you don't use clean water, let's see if I got a jar here. This will work here. I'm just gonna get some water out of the tap. This is the salty well water. Watch what happens when I pour some salty well water in here. See how milky it turned? Now you can't see through it anymore. That's why you have to use either RO water or distilled water to do a clarity test, because if you use the water with impurities, you're going to get milky water you can't see through. So you can see the difference. That one you can see through, this one you can't. So, soap's ready. Next step, I've got my kettle heating up over here. I'm going to pour, I'm just going to pour enough water to where it doesn't overflow my what are they called again? Crock pot. Anyway, I'll get back to you. Alright, I got the water poured into the soap here. As you can see, it's not cloudy. It's just, you can see through the water there. There's just a little bubbles on top. That's fine. But you can see the gel below it. So now I've got now this one needs to be turned on low. I'll turn it over to low for 10 hours. And this one's just on keep warm. I'll probably turn it on low for a little bit. You don't want to turn them up too high because they will boil over and make a mess in your kitchen, speaking from experience. But anyway, they'll sit like this a while. Don't get in any hurry. You can sit here and stir it and try to make it dilute faster, but there's really nothing you can do to make it go any quicker. Easiest thing to do is just pour your water in and wait, and it'll probably be before that bedtime. It's only like 4 o'clock now. I started this at 7 o'clock in the morning, so right before I go to bed, I'll probably be able to pour it into my glass jars that I've prepared over there. So, get back with you. Alright, we are wrapping up. It's almost bedtime. We're wrapping up the soap making process. So, easiest way I've found, you can use a funnel on top here. I like ladling it into this cup, this measuring cup, and then from the measuring cup I can pour it into my large jugs here. The thing is, my crock pots aren't a gallon, and this soap recipe makes over a gallon, so I have to ladle a little bit out of the soap, kind of move around. You can see there'll be like a layer on top that won't dissolve. In order to get this dissolve all the way, you have to have a gallon of water, or else you'll still have chunks in there. So that's why I have to ladle out a little bit of it to add more water. So it was all the way full up to the rim up here, the even highest rim, and still wouldn't dilute all the way. So I've got you can see I ladled this much out, and now I'm going to add some more water to it. Would you fill me up over there, babe? So, we're almost done. Here's the finished product. Not much to look at other than a nice amber color looking Castile soap. So, some of the things you might not know about this soap is it is all purpose. The Castile soap is just like Dr. Bronner's soap, his Castile soap. He does use a little bit different oil ratio. He includes some hemp oil and maybe some jojoba oil or jojoba. I'm probably saying that wrong. But some things you might not know about it. Since it is all-purpose, you can wash your laundry with it. You can do your dishes with it. You can clean your body, your face, your hair. Something a lot of people don't know is you can even brush your teeth with it. You just put a couple drops on your toothbrush and brush away. I personally just use toothpaste, but if you like that kind of thing, you could brush your teeth with it. It's totally safe. I will say one word of advice when using it. If you have hard water, like I was showing you, we have hard water in our well. If you have hard water, you'll probably want to use a vinegar rinse. Whenever you're cleaning with this product. I use a vinegar rinse when I wash my dreadlocks, because I've got dreads, if you didn't know. This soap works great for washing your dreadlocks. But I do use a vinegar rinse because it washes the hard water residue out of your hair whenever you use it. Same with your dishes. If you're going to do dishes with it, you'll need to fill up part of your sink with vinegar to get a clean rinse from this soap. Not because it doesn't clean good or it leaves soap residue. It just it leaves the mineral from the water, because it basically separates the mineral out, and so when you rinse it, there's still mineral left on the dish. So just a couple of things, tips and hacks when using this soap. So I hope y'all enjoyed the making, and appreciate you watching.